And we're back again, 11:30 a.m. on Sunday morning with Brooke and myself, talking about living your ultimate life based on Dr. Mao's latest book, Live Your Ultimate Life, which he calls Ancient Wisdom to Harness Success, Health, and Happiness. And for the last week or so, we've been going over the financial aspects of ancient wisdom. And this week I thought we'd look at he's got a page here called Taking Financial Inventory. And the kind of a common sense thing that you would think most people would realize. A part of taking your inventory is, he says, simple budgeting, a financial inventory of where you are each month, how much money is coming in, where and how much is going out, and what's left at the end of the month. Now, I pretty much have done that for ever since, I can't even, probably even when I was living home with my parents as a teenager. I think I can remember writing down my expenses. Now, I don't know that anybody taught me to do that. I don't know where I got that idea. It could be because I had part-time jobs, and so I'd want to keep track of how much I was making, and then I had to pay some of my own expenses for things that I wanted to buy for myself. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that, I suppose, I don't even know how I got into the idea, but I just had the idea I wanted to make sure that I didn't run out of money, or that if I was saving or something, because I remember back in my teenage years I was saving money to buy some drum set, and so I guess I was probably figuring out, well, how many weeks is it going to take me to be able to buy this particular piece and this particular piece, and that's probably how I got into that habit. So I've been doing that for most of my life. But on the other hand, I've known a lot of people who are, kind of living week to week, and probably their budgeting is, well, if I have any money left at the end of the week, I'm okay. And that's the extent of the budgeting. So that has chemicals in it. So people might not know what they're spending too much on or too little on. They just know at the end of the week I got $4 left, and so they figure, well, okay, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But Dr. Mao,
my whole life I have saved. I think my father did it for me. My parents got divorced when I was young, and I'm so grateful that he didn't hide our situation from us. He didn't just pretend like everything was okay, and he really taught me that we only had so much to live off of. And I guess that's when I started focusing and paying attention to what I had. And I'm definitely a saver. If I have $2, I save one. And I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, as it turns out, Dr. Mao, of course, recommends saving. I think he mentions 10%, which is kind of a traditional amount. So you certainly were doing more than the traditional amount. Now he says in here that no level of income is ever too high to ignore this counsel. I would say probably no income is ever too low to ignore the counsel too.
That's true.
Yeah. So he says it's sometimes easier to blame your choice of job, unlucky investment, high gas prices of the economy, rather than your spending choices on any budget problems.
Oh, yeah.
I could see how that would happen. Even today on, the politicians are blaming this and that on the economy, and and people are probably identifying, well, yeah, the reason I don't have any money is because of the president or the economy or who knows what. And Brits this week probably have a lot of that going on, when half the people are saying the problems are being in the European Union, so they want to get out, and that'll help them out. So anyway, taking a look at your budget is important. I would think probably in the idea of what you're spending on. I've always been pretty careful spender. I'll try to buy the best quality of something, or something that'll last the longest. So I pay attention to it. But I'm sure there's lots of folks who just, go to the store and whatever advertisements in their head, they'll buy that or that brand or that particular food item that might be 3 times more expensive than a competitor's item. So,
Yeah.
so if you take your budget and see what you're spending on, what your food amount is, your gas is, your school is, or whatever different categories, you'll probably be surprised that there's something that you're spending a lot on that you didn't realize or you didn't want to admit, because
That's very
sometimes that'll
true.
happen.
Yeah.
I spend money on I don't even know what my luxury item would be. But a lot of people might be going out to eat, so they might spend a huge amount of money compared to other budget items on going out to eat 3 times a week at a restaurant or something. So,
Yeah.
and you might not want to admit it.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. Um, all right. So now he talks about using your capabilities of the 5 elements.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we've figured out what our own element is, and he says access traits from each of the 5 elements to help you integrate and utilize all your inherent capabilities. So leverage your elemental strength, and while cultivating the traits of the other elements for balanced development of your financial fitness. And then over here on, page 227. So he starts getting into the different elements and tells some advice for those elements, but also advising others to use that element as well. Now,
Yeah.
so he's got financial element for the wood element. Wood element is kind of your type A personality, the leader of the pack kind of, and so forth. And so you want to read it a little bit from that, Brooke, on advice for the wood element?
Yep. It would be for a wood person, it would be wise for you to slow down and cultivate deliberation. Analyze your financial situation. Ask yourself whether you are making correct decisions or rash, impulsive ones. You, as a wood person, need to pay attention to impulsivity because quick decisions may not serve you well. If your intuition is colored by rebellion, resentment, or anger, you can create problems for yourself and those around you. Slow down, do diligence, take one step at a time, and err on the side of being conservative. You must not sacrifice your principle if you are interested in achieving financial health.
Yeah, and that one kind of surprised me as I was reading that earlier this morning, because I wasn't thinking that a wood type person, wood element person, would do rash, impulsive decisions, because I was associating that with the fire.
Yeah.
But then thinking over people I know that are, my guess is a wood element. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
I have noticed that impulsive decision making, and also the ones that I know have this anger thing,
Yeah.
and I do associate that too with like the your typical boss or manager who a lot of times thinks he knows the right way to do it or the highway kind of thing. So if you don't do exactly what he thinks you're supposed to do, then he gets angry, and so I can see that going on. But for some reason I never associated that with a financial aspect. I thought, well, that's just personality, and it just ended there. But it follows through to the financial. So for all you executives out there, then Dr. Mao says, slow down and cultivate deliberation. So instead of thinking, oh, I know the right answer, and I want all you guys to do this and this and this and this, or I know the right investment to make, and I'm going to go out and buy XYZ stock or invest my money in a car wash or who knows what. So just slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what he's got on the next page. Financial advice for the fire element. And of course, that's the one I, immediately associate with the impulsivity and very emotional. And accordingly, Dr. Mao says emotions color reality, so you will need to control passion and learn to be objective and analytical in order to make wise financial decisions. Yeah, I kind of would have known that. That seems to me, so I somehow was kind of tuned with that. Um, so presumably, if you got a fire element person, they would kind of be sitting around thinking, or maybe talking to somebody, maybe talking to a friend. A friend says, "Oh man, I found this investment. It's raising earthworms, and you can make $1 million in like a year raising earthworms." And they say, "Oh, that's a cool idea," and then they jump in and they just start raising earthworms because they're simple. So Dr. Mao would say, learn to be objective and analytical. So you might want to, go on Google and type in earthworm raising and see what the deal is for earthworm raising.
Yeah.
But then again, he says passion is your asset, and your energy can help you manifest material wealth. So you don't want to disregard your fiery personality and your exuberance.
Yeah.
And then another positive thing he says is you can use those skills or those attitudes to build leadership skills so that you can help others fulfill their goals. So in a sense, if you got a fire element personality, you could be maybe a guide to somebody else who's maybe kind of laid back. Oh, I don't kind of know what I want to do. I'm not sure if I should do my budget today or next week. And that fire person could say, oh no, let's do it now. Why don't you do it now or do it tonight or something. So kind of give you that excitement to move on there.
Yeah, you talk about like yin yang. The perfect element that a fire element could help is you and I, water, because we're always afraid. We tend to be so conservative, and a fire element could help us kind of give us that passion and, kind of to make that step. It would be that perfect balance.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, true. I was just thinking that would certainly help me sometimes because I'm so laid back sometimes. I just want to do nothing basically when I need somebody to say, oh, let's do this or let's do that. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then he's got financial advice for the earth element. Do you want to read a little bit of that one, Brooke?
Sure. You may have difficulty disciplining yourself, and you may have avoided learning effective management of your accumulations in order to create a strong financial foundation. You may also be afraid to hurt other people's feelings or are reluctant to have others think badly of you. As a result, you unwisely lend or give away your resources, and then your abundant earth energy loses its balance. You are one of the fortunate ones whose element naturally engenders abundance. You have an ability to accumulate wealth and use your wealth to support worthy causes and people you love. People also reciprocate your love and concern by loving and nurturing you. I think I'm like half earth sometimes. I do that all the time.
Yeah, well, and my thinking of people I know that I think are probably the earth personality. I can see a lot of that going on because they're the easygoing person who wants to help everybody out. Yeah. And so, as Dr. Mao says, you lend or give away your resources. Well, yeah. I know some people who have literally given away basically everything they have to worthy, they're worthy causes, not anything frivolous. But then they're not taking care of themselves; they're taking care of others. So it's a little unbalanced.
Yeah.
And but on the positive side, he says that Earth folks have the ability to accumulate wealth and use it to support worthy causes and people you love. So I guess the balance point is, helping others and worthy causes, but not neglecting your own self by giving away everything, so you have nothing left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing an online course this week on happiness, and one of the topics was trusting people and in a sense, helping people, even though, well, we apparently are wired to not trust people. Because over the
I,
millions of years, we want to not be eaten by the shark or something, or
I did not learn that.
yeah. So, but the science is finding that it is actually better to force yourself, in a sense, to trust others and help others because it generates a culture of trust, and it also makes you happier because when you give something to somebody, it activates oxytocin and so forth, and so you actually feel happier. There's
Yeah.
going to be a certain number of people who will take advantage of you, but it turns out that the numbers of people that will turn against you or take advantage of you is very small. It's smaller than we think, and that's
Yeah, yeah,
part
I
of
agree.
our wiring to think that we don't want to be trusting people.
Yeah.
Um, and they had an experiment, for example, they would uh, have put some wallets around big cities with $200 in it with an ID in there where people could return it if they found it,
Hmm.
and then they'd have people guess what percentage of people would return it. And people would say, well, probably only 20% would return the money, or 40%, or whatever. Well, it turned out it's like 80%.
Hmm.
So people routinely discount how trusting people are
Yeah.
and are very suspicious. So on the financial advice for the earth element, he says people also reciprocate your love and concern by loving and nurturing you. So on that theory of trusting people, if you do give away some money in an appropriate balance, of course, then it kind of comes back to you as it
Yeah.
turns out. Because when you trust somebody, they start trusting you, and so they'll help you. So if you help somebody to buy a meal or something, they'll trust you and return that favor to somebody else. Oh, and that was another experiment. This was a guy on has some sort of a online blog thing. He went. He wanted to find out what would happen if you gave $100 to a homeless man.
Hmm.
So he found a guy, on the corner of a freeway, with a sign saying, give me money, or whatever the sign says. And so he went up to him and introduced himself. And they're filming this guy without him knowing. And so he gives him $100. And the guy's really appreciative and says, are you sure you want to do that? And he says, yeah. And he says, oh, man, I never had that happen. And he was just overjoyed and, hugged the guy and everything. And then he walks away, and the cameras are following him. And he goes to a liquor store. So what do we immediately think? Oh, he's going to buy liquor because
Yeah.
that's our untrusting nature. Well, he
Exactly.
goes in, he comes out with a big bag of stuff. The cameras follow him to a park, and he's giving away food to these strangers in the park.
Oh.
It was just food. And so now the guy that gave the money goes up to him and says, come over here, I want to talk to you. And then he explains what's going on, that he's been filming him, and he wants to apologize to him because he thought when he went into the liquor store he was certainly going to buy liquor, and he
Yeah.
didn't. And the guy says, well, I just did that because it makes me feel happy to give away stuff.
Yeah.
Which is true to all of us, not only the homeless guy, but everybody. So the guy says, well, I apologize again. They gave me another $100. So,
I have a personal story similar to that, real quick. So, my husband and I are getting divorced, and we're trying to keep things very calm and not, at least I'm trying to keep things very calm. And we definitely had a rough 2 weeks where everyone was telling him not to trust me. Everyone was telling him I was going to try to take him for everything he had. And, lo and behold, my husband's truck, he like totally broke him down on the side of the road. His master cylinder died, and he had to get it towed, and he needed the money to replace the master cylinder. And I said, here's the money, get it fixed. Because I have a small little amount of saving, which I've been saving so that I could find a place for me and my kids to live. And he's like, are you sure? And I said, absolutely. You need to work. You need to drive. And he got his truck fixed. And our dynamic since then has completely changed. Not like that we're going to get back together, but there's this deep respect now, that just makes me feel more comfortable. And then my car died this week, and he, in the hot sun yesterday, changed all the spark plugs and coils in my car. Like, I mean, he didn't have the money to take it to a shop, but he put his hard-earned effort into my car and fixed it. So now today I have a car, and it's one of those, you know, I didn't necessarily have all that money to fix his car, but I still gave it. And in return, I got helped as well. And I think it's a really good example on how, you know, everything comes back to us. And
Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Okay, let's see. Moving on to the metal element. Dr. Mao says metal people are cautious and conservative, and of course, metal folks are the ones who make the checklists and do everything real logically and so forth.
Yeah.
So he says you are probably very good at math and planning for college, retirement, healthcare, and so forth. So that's an advantage and a disadvantage
Yeah.
because planning finance in advance is very important. But he says when things don't go according to plan, you may become very self-critical. So the challenge is to learn how to accept and acknowledge yourself as you are. For example, he says you might have failed at a plan, but if you can accept who you are and stop the critical self-talk that takes place, you'll benefit from the ability to adapt to new situations. With increased flexibility and self-acceptance, you can begin to let go of the need to be perfect and to embrace change. And I've certainly done that over the years, have a plan either written out or in my head, and if it doesn't go according to plan, then I get really frustrated. And I think that was one of my favorite words for years. Oh, I'm so frustrated, you know.
Yeah.
So it's that non-ability to accept things don't always go as one might like or one might want to control. So
Yeah.
that is good advice to for the folks making the checklist and stuff. Just realize things don't always go as planned, and it's not necessarily your fault. So just go with the flow and go to Plan B or Plan C or D
Exactly.
or E.
Exactly.
Okay, and then his final advice for the water element. You want to read a little over on that one, Brooke?
Sure. It says it may be challenging for you to accumulate financial energy because of your overly cautious nature. You are sometimes so cautious that you become stuck and are afraid to make any move at all. However, while you may not pursue outsized gains, you will be content with capital preservation. Moreover, you can educate yourself and find the comfortable point between taking financial risk and reaping financial reward. With the help of your powerful water energy and clear access to your spirit, it is possible for you to manifest your dream of benefiting yourself, your family, and friends, your community, and perhaps even the world.
You know, even though I'm mostly water element, I could not identify with that. It didn't seem to match up with me exactly. Although I maybe not be aware of what I'd been doing over the years. I know that a lot of times I'll do a lot of reading and studying before I'll make a move, so that might be that
Yeah.
caution or that fear. But it didn't really hit me too much. But I'm thinking how I'm still trying to mull over what that whole thing means on the water energy and finances. I am just thinking that maybe because water, you're always flowing, so you'll always keep moving on. And I remember people over the years have told me that I'm a survivor. So no
Yeah.
matter what happens, I end up surviving whatever the good or bad news is. So that might have something to do with the water element. Just I can keep on flowing no matter what happens. Um,
Same here.
yeah, but anyway, that was kind of a mystery. I'm going to have to think about that one, or at least read that a few more times to see if I'm in denial on something in my previous financial life on that advice. Because
Yeah.
I think I identify more with the metal element, and maybe it's because earlier 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I was probably more metal, so maybe my recollections of the finance part are on the metal and not so much on the water.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, anyway, we covered some
Yep.
good stuff there, and you gave some good advice there, Brooke, about
Yep.
your experiences.
Yeah.
So we'll close this off for this Sunday morning and go into another session next Sunday morning at 11:30.
Yeah.
And I'm taking a look at, let's see, what's his next category here? Oh, career. Yeah, he's talking about career next in the book, so maybe we can talk about careers, because you had
Yep.
mentioned that a few weeks ago about career and so forth.
Definitely.
Okay, well, thank you so much again, Brooke, for
Yeah.
giving some input today, which is always excellent, and we'll look forward to seeing you again the next time around.
Cool. Thanks again. Bye.
All right, bye.